Put the baby in your ear. Listen to his lungs. The baby's lungs are filled with fluid. Sean quickly began to clear the airway for the baby. Finally, a miracle happened. The baby's cry became the most beautiful melody of the moment. The mother also shed tears of excitement. In the other side, miracles are also happening. The female doctor infected with the virus overcame the disease, survived, and doctors find cracks in that first responders' mask. This means the virus is droplet-shaped. It's not airborne. It's not contagious. The crisis has finally come to an end. And in real life, compatriots in some areas still ravaged by the epidemic. But you can believe there is no winter that will not pass. There is no spring that will not come. Come on, let's get through this together. Woman doing craniotomy conscious. The doctor also moved the TV into the operating room for him to watch because the doctor said watching TV could improve his surgery success rate. Turns out the woman had arteriovenous malformations of the brain. It requires a craniotomy to remove it, but didn't expect an accident halfway through the surgery. Doctors opened the skull and found location of arteriovenous malformations. Then the MRI shows closer to Brocache district. Any damage, it may make him lose the ability to speak. At a loss, Sean had a bold idea. Keep women awake during surgery, and they kept talking by tracking her vocal function, avoiding the speech center in Raka's area. Although the technique is bold, but it works. But now the biggest problem is that women have autism. It's hard to maintain verbal communication all the time. Fortunately, she said she had someone who loved her very much and also has autism. Roommate can't talk to him all the time during surgery. Unexpectedly, the roommate refused to enter. Causes of autism in the operating room make him unbearable in the operating room. Lighting environment up to 140,000 lux. Besides, he thinks the two of them only occasionally to shy things together. Simple relationships for solving physiological problems. In desperation, Sean had to move the TV into the operating room. A quiz game by looking at pictures. Let women answer questions all the time. At first, it went well. Can be over time. He became highly nervous, no longer willing to answer any questions. Just when the doctors decided to take the plunge and go ahead with the surgery, the good news has finally arrived. The roommate decided to come in and assist with the surgery. In front of the most trusted person, the woman finally began to slowly let down her guard. The surgery went smoothly. After a life and death, the roommate finally made his mind clear.
I think I love you.
I think you do too.
Girls ate too much chewing gum as children, so she looks like a chewing gum now. But the parents are happy because today a miracle finally happened. A brain dead patient. Family members agreed to make facial donations, and the girl was a perfect match for the donor antigen. But the difficulty of this operation is also unprecedented. The doctors discuss it over and over again. Various conditions that may arise during surgery, even found two corpses for simulated surgery, deducing the experimental data over and over again, try to be foolproof. Finally, the day has come to decide the fate of the girl. Donor mother pushes daughter out of ward. Operating room. The corridors are already crowded with healthcare workers. They spontaneously formed a tribute knowing, thank you to this family for their sacrifice. The hospital bed was slowly pushed towards the operating room. At this moment, she is as beautiful as an angel. Use the pre-made mode first, draw surgical lines on both faces. Then the surgery began. After a while, finally successfully peeled off the faces of the two. The doctors had mixed feelings. Cut off the donor's life support system. One man's story is over, but someone else is about to be reborn. Carefully, put the most beautiful face on a girl's face. Perfect feet. Doctors are methodical. Clear division of labor. Slowly connect the blood vessels, arteries and nerves. After more than 10 hours of surgery, her originally pale face finally began to turn bloody. This indicates that the surgery was a perfect success. Everyone smiled from the bottom of their hearts. After the girl wakes up, look at your beautiful face. She has mixed feelings. She finally ushered in a new life, but her heart was heavy. She will never be able to repay this gift. Pregnant in May, the baby is finally born, but the biological parents are not happy. The doctor turned around directly, put the baby in the isolation box. As the fabric on the child is lifted, the baby was found to have a large mass of intestines exposed. Not only that, the diaphragm of his heart is moving like cheese. Doctors can only maintain the system with the heart first, temporarily keep him alive, then go find a way to save him. Want to repair the gut? The heart must be healed first. The best way to treat the heart is to cut open the ventricles, then sew each hole in the heart individually. Sew will support strength, not enough to support the pull of the heart. In times of despair, a three-dimensional image of the heart came to Sean's mind. He suddenly thought of a safe and reliable solution. Make one that is the right size, and they're like little mushrooms. Giant silk floor vinyl wrapped with gold cloth directly from the atrium penetrated into the hole in the diaphragm of the heart. Attach the wrap to the outer wall of the heart. Cover all the holes like a plug. Greater pressure through his left heart. Hold the plug in place. In this way, you don't even need stitches. A good repair surgery is still a near death. We need to amputate a large part of his intestine to put it into the abdominal cavity. There's a 90% chance of that. Will make him unable to absorb food after surgery and starve to death. Of course, there is another option, that is to do no surgery. Just remove the life support system. Let him have no pain. After 3 hesitations, Terence, with great grief, decided to have surgery. The cost of a failed operation is unacceptable. Even the second before surgery, parents never hug their children. You can only say I love you softly through the isolation box. The surgery went according to plan. After repairing the heart, begins removal of the intestine. Then it is placed into the abdominal cavity. As the intestines begin to move, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But now an accident happened. His pulmonary pressure rose sharply. The heart is beating too fast, putting too much pressure on the lungs. He won't starve to death, but it would die from too much fluid in the lungs. The process is also extremely painful. The most humane way now is to turn off all instruments. Let him leave quietly. The doctors repaired the incision. Try to make it look good. Everybody keep your heads down. Consciously pray his last prayers for him. But Sean didn't. He's in his head, recording all the data from the baby's body. He suddenly thought of a way to reduce the pressure on his lungs.
Check valve. Every time the heart contracted, blood went into the opposite side of the heart and raised. What if we made it so she still had a heart defect, but only when she needed it?
But only when she needed it was like opening in a heart wall, an unbolted door. When the right side of the heart is too high, this door will open, reduce pressure on the lungs. The rest of the time it stays closed, although it may not work, but at least there is hope. A few hours later, the doctor pushed the baby out of the ward. The hallway echoed with the powerful cries of babies. The surgery was a success. Parents can't hug their children for the first time. There is always a rainbow after the storm. I believe his future life will be colorful. The rich woman only ate a bowl of cheap tofu jelly, was diagnosed with advanced meningioma, and almost died from this bowl of tofu brain. On this day, she suddenly had a premonition that her life was near. Hurry up and come to the hospital for examination. It doesn't matter if you don't check it. Shocked, NMR results show she had a terminal meningioma. There is no cure. What doctors can't do, just prevent seizures that meningiomas can cause. Take a blood sample from a woman. Take it to the testing room for testing to facilitate the use of anti-epileptic drugs. But Shellen's test found an abnormality. The number of eosinophils in a woman does not match the symptoms of advanced meningioma. Sean got up right away. Want to go for further consultation with a woman, but was stopped by a colleague. Original. The newly appointed chief of surgery cites the cause of autism. Transferred Sean out of surgery. His current job, just doing tests in the testing room. Sean can only find colleagues to further biopsy the woman's tumor. Colleagues don't think it's necessary because the woman's diagnostic imaging exactly the symptoms of meningioma. But Sean is still worried. He sneaked into the ward. I want to consult with women. Seeing a woman asleep, Sean tiptoed open the woman's bag, rummaging through it. He was more certain of his inference. Sean finds the owner, indicates that he is from. Women noticed on social platforms, women often go to a restaurant to eat tofu jelly, but it had a very poor hygiene rating, indicates that the food there may contain parasites. Usually stomach acid digests the parasite, but just now, he found acid buildup in the woman's bag, so women may not have meningiomas. It's a parasite in the brain. Although the director believes that the probability is extremely low, but lives are at stake, he dared not be careless, so he immediately arranged for a further biopsy of the woman. Sure enough, Sean was not surprised. His guess was correct. Inertia found in time. Otherwise, if you give up treatment, women will also die. The sisters have no intention of not being grateful to Sean. Sean even took the opportunity to propose to the director. I want to become a surgeon again. He didn't want to just find out that a patient was chronically ill, but can't do anything. He wanted to save them. Director can. But with his outstanding performance in the testing room today, reject again. He thinks Sean is more suitable for his current position. But what happened next was about to change his mind. This thing man weighs over 800 kgs. When the doctor slowly lifted the quote from his body, a tumor weighing more than 600 kgs comes into view. The tumor has completely enveloped his body. Such a man, he said he could do 200 leaps in a row. Due to the extremely rare cases, hospital for publicity, they even waived the cost of surgery for men. But the surgery hasn't started yet. The accident happened first. NMR results show the blood vessels in the tumor are thicker than ham sausage. Once the surgery, the man will bleed to death. The dawn I just saw turned into nothing in an instant. I didn't expect dead trees to meet spring. The female doctor was inspired by a cup of bubble tea, thought of a way to prevent massive bleeding during surgery. They embolized larger vessels onto the tumor. Is that so? You can't use the man's own coagulation factors. I didn't expect it to be bad to stop the bleeding. Embolize his blood vessels, causing fluid from the third gap to flow into the body and lungs. He won't last long. Surgery must be completed as soon as possible. The surgery is packed with healthcare workers. They started by removing the frontal tumor. Because the tumor is so large, even small lifting devices are used. Very soon, cut off all the tumor junctions on the front of the body. Next is the back. But just turn the man over. The life monitor went off the alarm. Cut off the blood supply to the tumor. Causes a rapid release of cytokines in men. The surgery must be terminated now to save his life, but the doctors are unwilling to give up like this. At a loss, they thought of Sean in the testing room. Sean looks at the patient's tumor imaging. A structural diagram instantly came to mind, and he immediately came up with a solution. Anterior columnar aorta. Slow down the blood supply to the tumor. This slows down the release of cytokines simultaneously to prevent necrosis of the intestinal system and kidneys. It also takes every 10 minutes. Release the aorta of the anterior column once. The doctors immediately followed Sean's plan. Proceed with surgery. Plan. Proceed